Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is Monday, the 5th of June 2023, and these are the stories that we will be discussing in detail during the course of our show. We'll begin with the strong relationship that exists between Pakistan and Turkey, two countries who have always stood for each other in the good and the bad times. Now, our Prime Minister, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif, was in Turkey to attend, of course, the ceremony of Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan's presidency. He's now become the president for another time. He's been re-elected as the president of Turkey, and therein he met with different world leaders, also met with Mr. Erdogan, and at the same time met with different Turkish business leaders to highlight the business opportunities in Pakistan. And of course, it was very lucrative as far as business opportunities in Pakistan is concerned. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story concerns the World Environment Day. Today, the 5th of June, every year, the World Environment Day is celebrated to highlight the importance of environment in our daily lives, and also for not only our people, but also for our flora and our fauna and our fish and our animals. This year the theme is beating plastic pollution, and we all know how plastic is degrading our environment. We'll be talking about different aspects of that in our second segment. Our third story pertains to the relationship between Pakistan and Iraq in the context of the visit of Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, our foreign minister to Iraq. He's met with the Iraqi president, he's met with his counterpart. He has also signed 2 MOUs with Iraq. We'll be talking about that. And in our final story today, we will be talking about New Zealand's former Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, who has been given the title of Dame today, citing her leadership after the 2019 Christchurch mosque massacre and also during the COVID-19 pandemic, where her leadership had been exemplary. Let's begin with our first segment, and that concerns Pakistan-Turkey relations in the context of the visit of our Premier Shehbaz Sharif to Turkey and the business opportunities that exist between the two countries. More in the following report.
As Pakistan slowly wins back the trust of allies after a disastrous run on diplomatic front under PTI government, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif during his visit to Turkey rekindled the bright prospects of future of Pakistan-Turkey ties and confidence of Turkish business investments. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif attended the inauguration of Recep Tayyip Erdogan as President of Turkey, along with 21 heads of states, 13 prime ministers, parliamentary and ministerial level representatives, and representatives of international organizations including the NATO and the OIC. The Prime Minister attended the ceremony on the invitation of President Erdogan. During the visit, Premier invited the Turkish investors and businessmen to invest in Pakistan as both countries aim to increase their trade partnership. In his meeting with the delegation of Anadolu Group of companies in Ankara, Prime Minister encouraged the group to come to Pakistan. During Prime Minister's meeting with Chairman Dolsar Engineering, he offered Pakistan government's full cooperation in helping company expand its investment in Pakistan, as Irfan Akar showed keen interest in expanding the footprint in country's energy and construction sectors. Shehbaz Sharif also met chairperson Turkish firm Limak Holdings to explore the prospects of companies' investments in Pakistan's energy, infrastructure, tourism and construction sector. Another delegation led by Daik Neil Olpak also met Premier with keen eye on Pakistan's renewable energy sector. Turkish investors expressed willingness to visit Pakistan to directly interact with the relevant stakeholders and finalize the joint ventures. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif held frank conversation with President Erdogan during his visit, which showed that both countries stand together and willing to further expand ties under the current Turkish leadership. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif invited President Erdogan to visit Pakistan to co-chair the 7th meeting of the High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council in Islamabad.
We've been joined by Omar Karim. He's a foreign affairs expert. Omar, thank you very much to have joined us. Omar, when you look at the whole gamut of relations between Pakistan and Turkey, how important do you feel is the visit of Mr. Shehbaz Sharif for this, of course, third time presidency and this event that highlighted the presidency of Mr. Erdogan for the third time? How important do you feel Mr. Erdogan is going to be in his third tenure as president for Pakistan?
I think this is a really important visit by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and his presence there in the inauguration ceremony for President Erdogan's third term. It signifies the strength of the bilateral relationship between the two countries, but also between the Pakistani premier and the Turkish leadership. And since President Erdogan has become Turkish president, we have seen a visible improvement. There was always the relationship was always close, but the felicity and the strength and the warmth we have seen, especially the emotional warmth we have seen with President Erdogan. First, he was prime minister, and later on during his presidency. It has been phenomenal, and I think that there has been a lot of pushing from the Turkish side to increase this bond. Also, Pakistan and Turkey both are very important middle-sized regional powers, and one plays a very important role in the Middle Eastern, the Balkan, and East European regional security framework, regional security order, and the other plays a very important role and part in the South Asian, Central Asian, and to some extent Western Asian security and political order. So the relationship, or you can say the alignment between the two sides, is really exhibited in this bilateral exchange.
All right, Umar, kindly stay online with us. We've also been joined by Dr. Furqan Hamid. He's the head of the Urdu service at TRT in Turkey. Thank you very much, Dr. Furqan, to have joined us. Dr. Furqan, the relationship or the friendship between Turkey and Pakistan is no hidden fact. In fact, it's a testament through which both the countries have been there for each other in the good and the bad times. How do you foresee this relationship further developing under the third-time presidency of Mr. Erdogan? Can you hear us, Dr. Furqan? Back to Umar. In the meantime, we'll try to rectify this technical issue. Umar, I'd like to understand the business opportunities that exist between both Pakistan and Turkey, and this was also one of the highlights of this visit, because our premier met with many important business conglomerates and CEO of important business organizations in Turkey to highlight the incentives that Pakistan can give to all those organizations. Do you feel there is an opportunity for Turkish companies to invest in Pakistan, and if so, what has been what do you expect will be happening in the coming months?
I think there are definitely huge opportunities for different Turkish companies and different Turkish business sectors, because Turkey, as we know, is relatively on a much more advanced level of industrialization. Its manufacturing sector, its industrial sectors like steel manufacturing and construction sectors and tourism sectors, they are far ahead than Pakistan. And what Pakistan offers is a market of 240 million people, and a market which is ripe for such investments. I mean, we do have some people compare us with India, but India is also very competitive. So for Turkish different business sectors, especially the tourism sector, the broader hospitality sector, also the construction sector, because we have seen these construction booms happening in Turkey and driving the Turkish economy. And I think that there is massive potential within these sectors.
All right. Omar, kindly stay online with us. We've also now been joined by Dr. Furqan Hamid. He's the head of the Urdu service at TRT, Turkey. Thank you very much, Dr. Furqan, to have joined us. Dr. Furqan, as I was asking you, but there was some kind of a technical glitch due to which we could not hear you, or you couldn't hear us. But I would want to understand what is the Turkish perspective of the relationship with Pakistan, and how important do you feel both countries will be for each other as far as this third-time presidency of Mr. Erdogan is concerned? All right, there seems to be a continuous issue as far as getting hold of Dr. Furqan Hamid is concerned. He's the head of Urdu service at the TRT, and we're trying to get hold of him, some kind of an issue because due to which we cannot, or he cannot hear us properly. Anyways, coming to the relationship between Turkey and Pakistan, we have seen how, for example, when Pakistan was affected by the floods, Turkey was one of the countries that helped Pakistan. And this time, when Turkey was grappling with the effects of the earthquake, Pakistan continued to send aid, continued to send whatever help it could through the different aircrafts, through the different technical staff that it also sent, the doctors that it sent to Turkey as well, to help all those people who were in need. Umar, coming back to you, I'd like to also highlight the importance of this high-level strategic cooperation council that both the countries are part of, the 7th meeting of which is going to be held in Islamabad, and for which our Premier has invited Mr. Ardern. How important is this dialogue also to strengthen relations, to find out new facets, new avenues of cooperation?
Indeed, the very presence of this strategic council or the existence of this council, it shows us that both countries don't have really any issues amongst them or any dynamics amongst them where they actually disagree with each other on a strategic level. So they are not just partners but allies in multiple issues and multiple topics of the region. And this shows us that both sides can collaborate with each other and can strengthen each other in their ongoing ventures or engagements or their policy or in terms of their policy perspective. For example, Turkey is aiding and helping Pakistan in defense manufacturing. We are getting corvettes built from Turkey. Our F-16s have been upgraded by Turkey. So there is a lot of potential in defense cooperation. We are already doing it. Similarly, Turkey is advancing in its missile sector, and also we are getting drones from Turkey. So the defense sector is one such sector where cooperation and collaboration doesn't happen if the two sides are not don't see eye to eye with each other. So this shows that both sides have a unique trust. And then further on, moving forward, I think both sides can work upon similar agreements and similar arrangements in the industrial modernization, especially of Pakistan, and truly exploiting the potential we as a country and nation have. So I think that Turkey is such a unique country within this geography and in the broader Islamic world, where Pakistan has a lot of hopes, but also Pakistan trusts, there is a lot of trust and connectedness between the leadership. And I think this is really important and precious in the current world order.
Omar, also another thing that is important for Pakistan as well is to have as much investment opportunities of other countries, of other business organizations in Pakistan, and that was also something that was highlighted in detail by our Premier when he met with the heads of different business conglomerates or organizations. He then tweeted about it that while he met with all the business leaders, he highlighted different aspects of the business relationship, and that includes agriculture, energy, information technology, and construction. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, are very important perspectives as well as incentives for other international organizations and business organizations to come together and, of course, highlight not only the collaboration between Pakistan and Turkey, but also find new avenues of this cooperation in the business sector. And that is what our Premier did also by discussing with the different business leaders in all of these meetings. Thank you so very much, Umar Karim, to have joined us and to have talked to us about this. I think this visit is going to be a momentous one as far as not only cementing the relationship between Turkey and Pakistan is concerned, but also on finding new opportunities for business collaboration with Turkey, as has been seen by the reaction that came from all the business leaders that were present in Turkey, that our Prime Minister met, and the Turkish business groups that also highlighted the need of investment and the need of and the trade in the fields of agriculture, in the energy, information technology, and construction. These are 4 avenues that I've talked, and that is what our Prime Minister highlighted as well. He also met with different world leaders as well, and in the world leaders, of course, were the Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. He met with the MHP party chairman and Devlet Bahçeli. He met with Kosovo's President Vjosa Osmani, and he also met with the Iranian leader. And it's very important, the whole process of not only cementing Pakistan's position in the region, but also looking out for cooperation and collaboration and avenues where we can strengthen the relationship, not only with Turkey, where of course our Prime Minister was present, but also with all the other world leaders that he met during the course of his visit to Turkey. And of course that was at the for the inauguration ceremony of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He also met with Ahmed Al Bayrak, who's the chairman board of directors of the Al Bayrak group, which the group also informed the Prime Minister about the interest in investment in affordable housing projects, solid waste management, electricity generation from waste, and tractor industry. We've now been joined by Dr. Furqan Hamid. He is the head of Urdu service at the TRT. Dr. Saab, can you hear us?
Hello.
All right. Dr. Furqan, I'd like to understand the Turkish perspective of its relationship with Pakistan. How strong do you feel this relationship is, and how this can further be strengthened in this third presidency of Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan? Can you hear us, Dr. Furqan?
Hello.
No, I think he's not able to hear us. Some kind of a technical glitch. We've been trying to get hold of him for quite some time, and because of that we are unable to talk to him. Anyways, as far as Pakistan and Turkey are concerned, we've talked a little bit about the relationship that exists. We know about different facets, we know about different avenues of collaboration, of cooperation that exists between the two countries. We know about the mutual trade as well, that our Premier has said he would like to take to $5 billion US per year, and that is also ambitious. Nevertheless, it is achievable. This is what our Premier also said. Then our Premier also visited, in the past he had visited all those areas that had been affected by the earthquake in Turkey, and that is how Pakistan has also shown solidarity, not only by the visit of our Premier, but the visits of the doctors and nurses and the paramedical staff, as well as the different kinds of aid that Pakistan sent after this earthquake to Turkey, to highlight not only its affection that it has with the people of Turkey, but also the bond that exists between the two countries. We were talking of the different business groups that met with our Premier, Mr. Shehbaz Sharif. We talked about Mr. Al Bayrak, who is the chairman board of directors of the Al Bayrak group, who met with our Prime Minister and talked about different avenues where they would like to invest in Pakistan, including solid waste management, housing projects, electricity generation from waste, and tractor industry. Dr. Furqan Hamid, can you hear us? Well, there seems to be continuous glitch, because of which we cannot get hold of Dr. Furqan Hamid. But nevertheless, that is what technology is. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Pakistan and Turkey, ladies and gentlemen, have been there for each other in the testing times, in the good times as well. And this is what both countries look forward to further consolidate this relationship, this cooperation, this collaboration, and look for different avenues, pathways in order to further cement this. Turkey's presence in the region is also extremely important. So is Pakistan's positioning, and this can also work in the favor of both the countries as far as their relationship and their positioning in the region is concerned. The 7th meeting of the High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council that is going to be held in Islamabad will also be highlighting and discussing different avenues of that. It will also be unlocking the potential for the multifaceted relationship that exists between both Pakistan and Turkey. As far as trade is concerned, both Pakistan and Turkey have inked a preferential trade agreement way back in 2022, not way back, in fact, a couple of months back, which was aimed at boosting trade between both the countries. The progress has been significant. Nevertheless, as we all know, Turkey was affected by the earthquake and the devastating effect of the earthquake that left its economy grappled, and now that it is coming back on its own after that, now the different opportunities that exist for both countries will be beneficial for both countries, especially for Pakistan. Dr. Furqan Hamid, can you hear us? All right. We were trying to get hold of Dr. Furqan Hamid, but unfortunately we could not. But of course, we just wanted to highlight and understand the Turkish perspective as far as this visit of Mr. Shehbaz Sharif is concerned. Let's come to our second segment, and our second segment concerns the World Environment Day. The theme of this World Environment Day is beating plastic pollution. More in the following report.
World Environment Day is observed annually on June 5. The theme for this year is Solutions to Plastic Pollution. This theme aims to raise awareness about the impact of plastic pollution on the environment and encourages people to take action to reduce plastic waste. Plastic pollution is a growing problem around the world, with millions of tons of plastic waste being dumped into oceans and landfills each year. This waste harms wildlife, pollutes waterways, and contributes to climate change. The 2023 World Environment Day seeks to address this issue by promoting sustainable practices and encouraging people to reduce their plastic consumption. Plastic pollution has become so severe that it is estimated that by 2050 there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. As for Pakistan, a country facing serious consequences of climate change, it has encouraged industries and companies to collect their plastic waste and recycle it. Last year's floods were a wake-up call for Pakistan, which destroyed lives, livelihoods, crops, and livestock. On this day, the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in his message reiterated Pakistan's commitment to reduce plastic pollution as the country actively works on prohibition regulations. Federal Minister for Climate Change Senator Sherry Rahman stressed the need for global action and termed the consequences of plastic pollution as intense and long-term. By making small changes in our daily lives, such as using reusable bags, bottles, and containers, we can make big difference. By working together, we can help to protect the planet and create a more sustainable future for all.
Now, discuss different aspects of environment, this World Environment Day, and the theme that is beating plastic pollution. We've been joined in the studios by Sarmad Iqbal Khan. Is the head of policy advocacy at the International Rescue Committee, or the IRC. Thank you very much, Sarmad, to have joined us. Sarmad, first of all, I was looking on Twitter, and you were quite active as far as this World Environment Day was concerned. There was a seminar, there were so many things that you organized. But the fact remains that environment, despite all the action that we do, is always a couple of glasses of water in a big pond. A lot needs to be done. How important is this collective responsibility towards understanding how to protect our environment is concerned?
Well, thank you very much, Omar, for having me. And definitely today marks a very important day in the history as well as for Pakistan, because environmental degradation is the core of any challenge that Pakistan is faced with. And we have plethora of challenges across the country, whether it's plastic pollution, whether it's water contamination, whether it's industrial effluent, whether it's air quality, whether it's smog, whether it's so many other things which are leading to health complications, nutrition, child mortality, infant and young children suffering, and our health systems being overburdened, our food security being challenged, and our food being contaminated. So we are heading towards a
multifaceted challenge.
Man, yes, it is. It's more than a multifaceted challenge. But the thing is, at least one has to start somewhere. I know the discussion on environment and climate change discourse is very small as compared to the challenges that we are faced with. But at least when we talk about behaviors and consumption patterns, we can actually make a headway. If we
when you look at behavior and consumption patterns, that's a very important topic that you bring up. This year's theme is beating plastic pollution.
Yes.
Look at the general public. There is a lack of awareness as far as how and how to use alternatives to plastic, whether when you go to the shopping malls, how to properly dispose of plastics. The majority don't know. We see a lot of people throwing plastics on the street as well. How can we make the general public, not only in Pakistan but across the world, more aware about plastic pollution and how to stop it?
Well, I believe Western countries are transitioning out because of their education and awareness that is happening around the degradation of plastic. It takes years and years or hundreds of years to actually degrade, or even more than that. But when it comes to plastic, it's not just plastic bottles or plastic shoppers. It's diapers, it's other sort of plastic utensils, it's other sort of things. And today there was a very interesting point which one of the lady brought up, was that when they were young, they were using crockery pots to cook their food. Then later on, they transitioned to plastic pots and stuff. And now again, they're moving towards clay pots. This transition was result of something. And that something was actually the start of devastation for the country. We did not think of the adverse impacts of plastic use in our daily consumption. And a lot of issues that emerged were because of those plastic, the degradable quality, the degraded quality, the chemical contamination within that, and that being introduced within our food system as well as within our body while we eat that
The
food.
microplastics that we eat directly or indirectly through things that we couldn't even think of or ascertain that they could lead to plastic pollution, and our bodies are full of plastic more or less, or microplastic for that matter. Which are the avenues that you feel in a country like Pakistan can make people more aware of how to help themselves and the people around them as far as plastic pollution is concerned?
Well, one of the things is that massive awareness in terms of the use of plastic needs to go out. And massive awareness means every second, minute, some message around plastic challenges or the challenges stemming out of from the use of plastic needs to be informed to the communities. We need to tell the communities, tell the general masses about the negative impacts of not using something substantial or reusable, rather one-time plastic. So that basically falls as a priority awareness on the part of the government, so that they could be awareing the citizens. At the same time, the penalties and restrictions should be further strictened. Third thing is we need to come with a solution of, if we are banning the plastic, what's the alternative?
Paper or cloth or cotton?
Well, yes, but do we have it in production? Is it being produced? Because if it's not being produced, then plastic is inevitable. Like, people are not going to leave the plastic.
The general public is so used to getting things in plastic bags, using plastic crockery, that it will take them some time to change to alternative. And in the meantime, what do they do with all that they have? They will throw that away. That will add again to plastic pollution. How can we address all of these issues simultaneously?
Well, I think waste management,
Yes.
addressing this challenge comes with an integrated kind of a model, which I've been speaking about for every second issue that we talk about. Integration of solid waste management, but right from the collection point till its disposal, it needs to be properly defined, articulated, well governed, monitored, so that whenever the plastic or these items are being degraded or being dismantled, they don't have an air quality impacts. They don't have any impact on the ground where they are being dumped. So that chain needs to be defined. At the same time, use of plastic has become so part and parcel of our culture that everything that is being produced is coming in plastic bags, whether it's food grains.
Our bottles, our soft drinks are in plastic bottles.
Well,
They used to be in glass bottles a couple of years back.
But there you go. That's the biggest behavior change that we need to target right now. But if we target that we don't use plastic, what would the corporations and companies do? So there's another
There needs to be an alternative present when we
Exactly.
shift to that. But this said, the United Nations took out certain specifics, certain figures as far as plastic pollution is concerned, and I'd like to highlight that more than 430 million tons of plastic is produced every year, half of which is designed to be used only once. Of that, less than 10% is recycled, and 19 to 23 million tons ends up in lakes, rivers and seas annually. This is a staggering figure.
3.3 billion tons of plastic is thrown annually in Pakistan. That's another stunning figure. That plastic is being recycled, but with adverse impacts. Some portion of it gets recycled, the other gets thrown. The one that is thrown ends up in lakes, rivers, seas,
Affects the marine life.
life. That is becoming part of our agriculture products. Our agricultural produce is grown in that. So whatever we are trying to eat or trying to become organic, we can't be organic unless and until we actually finish off the use of plastic. And it can be in any form, not just plastic bags or plastic bottles, but anything that is made of plastic which is one time. If it's reusable, degradable, that's recommended, but if it's not, that should actually be banned.
I agree, but the fact remains that, as you said, there needs to be an alternative that should be ready in case we ban plastic, and how to use that. And the organizations, the government and the public need to come together on one footing as far as that concerned. When it comes to plastic that is used by the manufacturing industry, is mostly is recycled as well, but at the same time this recycled material, as you says, some percentage of it is thrown in lakes, in seas, and that causes harm to the marine life also. More than you talked about 3.3 million tons of plastic waste that ends up in landfills and unmanaged dumps. But 18% of municipal solid waste produced in the country is also plastics. This is also one element that we need to look at. How can we cater to this?
Well, when you talk about recycling, there's a full chain of or cycle of from collection till the disposal. There's a full cycle that needs to be actually managed very clearly, and this requires huge investment as well as behavior change, because there's a mix of everything at the point of collection. So as a human or as an individual, I don't segregate my waste into 3 different categories, and it becomes very difficult for the collectors to then segregate it. Then ultimately the end product that goes out, it's like it's up in the air. It becomes a cumbersome job for the recycling plant to actually bifurcate that, which means that they either have to stop or scale down, because it's a lot of investment.
I can understand that, but the fact remains also that, when you look at the it's just not in Pakistan, it's also a thing that we see a lot in the subcontinent and also in Central America, that a lot of plastic waste you see in the woods. At all the places we see the waste management issues that we have had in Karachi as well, and other cities, big cities across the world. Do you feel the public participation is also extremely important to clean their environment, to get rid of the waste, and also to clean our seas and our oceans and our lakes of all such pollutants?
Well, definitely. As there was a drive on Billion Tree, everybody was moving towards planting trees. I believe the same national momentum needs to be maintained for cleaning our land of the plastic. But
and our waters.
And our waters as well. At the same time, organizations like IRC are actually very keen on looking at or exploring the options of alternates to plastic, while they do response activities, while they do relief items distribution, while they do any other sort of interventions in communities to actually minimize the use of plastic to less than 1%. But having said that, it becomes very difficult given the current scenario, because 90% of the products are being produced in a plastic which is not degradable. So our prime objective is to try to promote degradable material alongside the
Is the technology for production of degradable plastic time taking? Is it cumbersome? Is it expensive?
It is expensive, and when the supply chain is not managed, it becomes a load, it becomes a burden, because it needs to have a continuous source of supply to run that degradable plant, or that manage that plant which actually is recycling all of that material. If the collection is slow, it's going to be huge cost for the investor, whoever has set up that plant. Technology transformation has become easy.
All right.
But at the same time, technology keeps on changing. So keeping up to date with technology, and given the current economic situation within the country, it kind of becomes very complicated for the investor to be up to the standard with everything. So they have to find a middle ground. But having said that, there are waste management companies who have been given contracts for Karachi waste collection, in other areas in Punjab, in KP, in Balochistan, but the scale is huge. The dump is huge. Segregation is nowhere to be found, which means extra cost of running that supply chain on the investor. So there's definitely we have to give and take between these things, but we have to decide on what's our priority. Is it recycling everything, or is it just making sure that there's a recycling plant where some things could come in and be recycled? So we need to actually change our behaviors, our patterns.
Exactly,
and
the whole
thought process.
pattern of our everyday life needs to be changed in order for our environment to become a better place for not only us but our flora and fauna as well. Legislation is also an important part of this. We know we have the Plastics Prohibition Regulation 2023 for Islamabad Capital Territory. Do you feel we need to have the same legislation for other areas in Pakistan as well?
Well, as I say, there is no lack of policies within Pakistan.
Okay.
We have policies with wonderful plans. The challenge becomes the implementation of it. If you look at Islamabad, we do have a policy, but how much of that policy is implemented in its true sense? What's the waste collection mechanism, and where is the recycling plant? How are we recycling it? What's the impact of this recycling plant on the air, on the ground? So those are certain questions that we need to actually look at, and the role of environmental protection agencies becomes very strong when it comes to all these things.
And organizations such as yours.
Yes, exactly.
All right, public awareness is also, this is something we've been highlighting during the course of our discussion, is extremely important. You've had the seminars today, a lot of other organizations have had seminars today. Our Prime Minister took out a huge message on the World Environment Day, so did Shahid Rahman, the Minister for Climate Change, so did the National Assembly Speaker Raja Parvez Ashraf. Apart from that, what are the other methodologies that need to be used in order to make the public aware of the dangers of plastic pollution and how to lead their lives with less and less use of plastic?
You know, I'll go back to one example. Malnutrition in Pakistan is a very critical issue, but this malnutrition stems out from the fact that we switched from mother feed to mother milk substitutes. Then we switched from breastfeeding to bottle feeding. And now we are realizing that bottle feeding is an extremely dangerous thing which is adding to the impact. This whole cycle was evolved because there was education, awareness, and massive one on it. Now when it comes to this subject, we need to actually have strong awareness at all levels, starting from the decision makers to the executors to the implementers and to the people who are using these services. So a strong awareness is a must. Secondly, policy frames out avenues of making sure that new technologies come in as well as these services are provided, but so as the need for investment within these sectors. Investor is shying away for some reason.
All right.
I don't know why. That's a question that needs to be addressed. And we need to actually look at various chamber of commerces, industries and small businesses in terms of providing them subsidy to set up this thing, because this is going to be impacting Pakistan way huge than anything
but
else.
the fact remains that it is an industry, so that is why a lot of people benefit from it, and so they need to be given alternative solutions so that they could switch to those in order for them to continue their businesses, but at the same time rid our country and other environments of pollutants such as plastic. And plastic, as you said, needs to be recyclable or degradable in order for it to be used properly, or not. I mean, it needs to be a collective decision. Empowerment of local communities, our Prime Minister talked about that as well, is very important in order to make people aware and take action against plastic pollution. How can that be done?
Well, it's the thing. First, economies run on industry, and if you don't have an alternative to the industry that is producing plastic products, that's going to be a huge burden on the people. Now, when it comes to reducing that burden, why can't we have biodegradable material being used in the same industry where these employees are working, and there's no issue to lack of employment.
Right.
At the same time, education on the use of that plastic to the same employees could actually have a multiplier effect, because when they go back to their villages, they could actually advocate and preach on this. And this message would multiply with the material or the product being available in the market cheaper than what it was being given for the single time plastic. So there's a cost benefit analysis to it as well. So we need to actually look at all these segments, and I believe The government does look at policy framing level all these segments, but when it comes to actually the translation, articulation, implementation, that is where this whole thought process gets lost.
Very last question, I want one phrase answer. How arduous is the road ahead as far as Pakistan is concerned to ban plastics or single-use plastics?
Well, I believe plastic is going to choke us to that. That's one statement. But road ahead can be greener if stronger and stricter and thought through measures are being implemented by the government.
All right. Thank you, Sarmad Iqbal Khan, Head of Policy Advocacy, International Rescue Committee, to have joined us. And I really have to congratulate you at all the hard work that your organization and yourself are doing in order to involve the public and to inform the public about how to move forward in a safe environment free of single-use plastic. Thank you very much, Sarmad, to have joined us. Let's come to our last two stories, ladies and gentlemen. The first concerns our Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, who is in Iraq on a 3-day official visit. He's met with the President of Iraq, Dr. Abdul Latif Rashid. He's met with his counterpart as well. 2 MOUs have been signed, first on visa abolition on diplomatic and official passports, the other to enhance cultural cooperation. Important aspects of bilateral cooperation discussed between both the sides, that is the Iraqi and the Pakistani side. We all know that Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Sahab is in Iraq on the invitation of Mr. Fawad Hussain, who is also the Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister and the counterpart of Mr. Zardari. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has said that both countries enjoyed decades-old ties and they always supported each other in the hour of need. And of course, this relationship is further going to be strengthened during this visit of our Foreign Minister to Iraq. Finally, let's talk about Jacinda Ardern. I'm a huge fan, I have to say that. She is the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, and she has now been bestowed with the title of Dame, citing her leadership after the 2019 Christchurch Mosque massacre, as well as how she managed New Zealand post-COVID-19 pandemic. She, of course, stepped down from her premiership, citing personal reasons. She said she had no longer enough in the tank to continue. Nevertheless, Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, who is her successor, said Ardern had been named a Dame in the King's birthday and coronation honours list, although Jacinda Ardern did say she had been in two minds about accepting the honour because so much of her work, she says, was a collective experience of all New Zealanders. She was, of course, elected the Prime Minister in 2017. She won international acclaim for how she handled the Christchurch mosque bombing as well as COVID-19 for her people, and she led by example, and that is why so many people still talk about her. With that, we come to an end of today's news. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us